Tom Cruise is weird. He's often praised as one of the last movie stars, pouring immense passion into every role he tackles. The man is fearless, pulling off stunts that no other actor would even think of performing, and he's just as good of a character actor as he is a leading man. Yet when you take a better look at him outside of film, there's something off about him, something weird. From odd interviews that inspired psychopathic character portrayals to behind-the-scenes stories circulating about his overly positive attitude. But dig deeper and you start to see the more controversial side of him with his ties to Scientology. The side of him that has people jumping in joy when they divorce him. In this video, we're delving into the world of Tom Cruise. The best, the weirdest, and the most controversial aspects. The further we venture, the darker things get until suddenly, weird doesn't quite cut it anymore. It edges closer to something bordering on insanity. And the only part that ends up being weird is our conflicted feelings about the man. We wanted to kick off on a positive note and give credit where it's due. In an era where the idea of the movie star seems to be fading, Tom Cruise remains one of the last of his kind, and sticking around for so long in Hollywood is no small achievement. Ever since he busted out that famous underwear dance in Risky Business, Cruise has been bringing his A game. His career has soared, spanning an array of roles. Although these days he's kind of one note with the characters he portrays, he used to show more of his acting range with movies like Eyes Wide Shut, Magnolia, and Born on the 4th of July. And every now and then, he'd surprise us with random performances like Les Grossman in Tropic Thunder or his cameo in Austin Powers.
Yeah, baby.
But let's not discredit his recent films. They offer a kind of escapism that's hard to find elsewhere, and Cruise's passion plays a big part in this. From those jaw-dropping stunts in the Mission Impossible series that have us eager to know what he does for the next film, to even recording his own vocals for Rock of Ages, his passion shines through. Sure, sometimes that passion might come off a bit too strong, like that leaked audio from filming Mission Impossible 7, where he yelled at crew members for not following COVID protocols.
I don't ever want to see it again!
But hey, this outburst wasn't about himself. It was about the livelihood of the hardworking crew who depend on these productions to make ends meet. Cruise's love for movies and his dedication to pleasing the audience is unmatched, just like his track record at the box office. Back in the mid-2000s, he faced a fair amount of criticism for his hefty paychecks, but let's face it, the guy pulls in crowds. Hit after hit, one blockbuster after another. And this trend even continues into the current decade, with Top Gun Maverick, which became his highest grossing film ever and our favorite film of 2022. Sure, he's had a few bumps along the road, but even in his worst films, he's giving it his all. But there's always that lingering feeling that something's a bit off about him. The unsettling feeling often comes from watching many of his interviews. There are a few iconic ones, like his debut appearance on Letterman in 1988, which reportedly inspired Christian Bale's portrayal of Patrick Bateman in American Psycho. Cruise's intense friendliness with nothing behind the eyes gave Bale the inspiration, and ever since learning about this, it has altered my perspective on Tom Cruise's interviews, giving off a bit of an eerie vibe, though certainly not to the extreme of a psychopathic murderer. Even in instances like the interview where he got sprayed with water, his composure and politeness made him seem like the type of guy you wouldn't want to cross paths with.
That's incredibly rude. I'm here giving you an interview.
I've yet to come across someone who would react in the same way he did there. Thandiwe Newton, his co-star in Mission Impossible 2, revealed that she found him intimidating during filming, describing him as very dominant and excessively striving to be a nice person. She mentioned that the stressful atmosphere amplified this behavior, although things have apparently mellowed down since then. Newton even received a Christmas gift from Tom Cruise, a book featuring the greatest hits of Scientology. And numerous behind-the-scenes accounts also echo this sentiment about Cruise's forcefully positive attitude on set, where many acknowledge his genuine niceness but also find something unsettling about how intensely nice and positive he can be. Some, like Brad Pitt during the filming of Interview with the Vampire, were put off by the come at you with the handshake behavior, which is the complete opposite of Brad Pitt's attitude. But that's Tom Cruise for you. We've all seen him like this. Most of us recall the infamous jumping on Oprah's couch interview in 2005 where he professed his love for Katie Holmes. Initially, I thought it was all blown out of proportion until I revisited it. It truly is iconic, going viral shortly after, and it was all people talked about. I'll drop a link in the description, but yeah, his mannerisms are undeniably weird. So much so that they even parodied it in Scary Movie 4. And he was just supposed to go on to promote War of the Worlds. And as a nice segue into our next section where things get insane, we got my favorite Tom Cruise interview where he struggles to control his laughter while recounting a story about turning off someone's oxygen. Granted, the story itself is pretty insane, but we've all experienced those moments where we can't control our laughter when trying to retell something. However, out of context, this could easily make him appear super weird. 3 divorces, controversial interviews, and allegations of slave labor can all be traced back to one thing: Scientology. Scientology is a dangerous cult, and for those unfamiliar with it, let me give you a quick rundown of their beliefs. About 75 million years ago, an alien overlord named Xenu brought billions of aliens to Earth to solve an overpopulation problem. Xenu then went on to detonate a bunch of hydrogen bombs inside volcanoes, effectively killing these aliens. The twist? We as humans apparently carry remnants of these aliens in our souls, causing our minds to harbor what they term as engrams. These engrams are said to be the root of our problems, like physical sickness or mental instability. Now, I'm all for people believing in whatever they want, but there's this famous quote by the Scientology founder L. Ron Hubbard that goes like this: "You don't get rich writing science fiction. If you want to get rich, you start a religion." And Hubbard, a failed science fiction writer, indeed struck gold with what he came up with this time. Where things take a concerning turn is the financial aspect and how they supposedly remove these engrams from people. Enter auditing, a cornerstone of Scientology. An auditor hooks up a member to an e-meter that detects emotional signals while bombarding them with questions, aiming to remove these engrams. Each auditing session costs a lot, and after spending years and a significant amount of money on these sessions, a member achieves the clear status, indicating they're free of engrams and can ascend a level in the cult hierarchy. People are effectively manipulating into purchasing their way through the cult's levels. And that story with Xenu doesn't even get told to them until they've reached a high level after years of investment of their time and money. Tom Cruise not only believes in all of this, but holds one of the highest ranks within the organization. He's an ambassador and was awarded the cult's highest honor. Interestingly, this award stirred up envy in fellow member John Travolta. According to Leah Remini, a whistleblower on Scientology, members are told that Cruise is the sole savior of the world, almost attaining a deity-like status within the cult. Now, here's where things get dark. Scientology, known for its brainwashing and control over members' lives, has a history tainted with allegations of spying, government infiltration, and even possible negligence leading to the death of its own members due to its pseudoscientific beliefs. In the mid-2000s, Cruise campaigned across Europe for European leaders to grant Scientology religious status so that they can be exempt from taxes. His vocal advocacy for Scientology sparked controversies in the 2000s and often put him in the spotlight. The cult is very against psychiatry and any mind-altering drugs, and in 2004, Cruise publicly advocated for these beliefs. He took a heated stance against Matt Lauer in a 2005 interview, doubling down on his beliefs and criticizing actress Brooke Shields for using antidepressants to cope with postpartum depression. Cruise's aggressive stance on these issues gave us another iconic interview when he was just supposed to go on to promote War of the Worlds. Again. His anti-psychiatry stance even caused a rift between him and Steven Spielberg, who mentioned a friend of his is a doctor that prescribes psychiatric medication, and not long after that, Scientologists with picket signs were outside the doctor's office. Even Paramount Pictures was upset with him when they announced in 2006 that their 14-year relationship with Cruise has ended because of his controversial image as of late. However, they eventually collaborated again, starting with Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol. Then, in 2008, a leaked Scientology interview with Cruise surfaced on YouTube. The cult initially fought to remove it, only for it to be re-uploaded and deemed to follow fair use guidelines. The cult claimed the 9-minute video was an edited version of a longer 3-hour video, but if this is an edited version, then boy oh boy, it's better not to waste YouTube's resources with the full version. Cruise manages to not actually say anything the whole time in this edited video, with famous quotes like, "When you drive past an accident, it's not like anyone else."
You know you have to do something about it because you know you're the only one that can really help.
And "I want to go on vacation,
but I can't because I know."
It gives off the same vibes as someone who's presenting at school about something they did last minute. But then we dig even deeper into the lesser known stories surrounding Tom Cruise, and it gets so much worse. Disconnection stands as an important practice within Scientology, involving the complete severing of ties with individuals, be it friends or family members who oppose Scientology's beliefs. The cult has denied that disconnection was a policy, but there's a lot of evidence pointing to the church pressuring its members to follow it. More on this later though. Cruise was introduced to Scientology through his first wife, Mimi Rogers, in 1986. Rogers was an auditor at the church, and their marriage would only last until 1990 when Cruise married his next wife, Nicole Kidman. It was around this time that tabloids began leaking details of Cruise's affiliation with Scientology, with his public acknowledgement of it coming in a 1992 interview. During their marriage, Cruise and Kidman adopted 2 children. However, their relationship soured, leading to a divorce in 2001, where we got the iconic Nicole Kidman picture after the divorce had been finalized. While the Church of Scientology denies it, many reports suggest that Kidman's reluctance to fully commit to Scientology played a pivotal role in their split. Throughout the divorce proceedings, Cruise turned the children against Kidman, ultimately gaining full custody and raising them as Scientologists. The kids then shunned Kidman as part of Disconnection, and their adopted daughter has since become an auditor within the church. Cruise's next marriage to Katie Holmes in 2006 followed a different path. He was deeply in love with Holmes and even had a Scientology wedding ceremony where David Miscavige, the head of the cult, served as Cruise's best man. Their daughter Suri was born in 2006, but by 2012, Cruise and Holmes had separated. Holmes initiated the divorce, reportedly aiming to safeguard her daughter from Scientology's influence. This time around, unlike his previous divorce, Cruise assumed the role of shunning, essentially disowning Suri ever since. Going further down the rabbit hole, we encounter what some classify as slavery. Between his Nicole Kidman and Katie Holmes marriages, he dated Penelope Cruz for 3 years. After their breakup, the Church of Scientology orchestrated a scheme to groom romantic partners for Cruz. The church conducted these auditions with Scientologist actresses, eventually selecting Nazanin Boniadi for a brief stint, a process she later described as white slavery. Despite attempts by the church and its lawyers to dismiss these claims, many ex-members have confirmed it to be true. Devastated with the whole experience after the relationship ended, Boniadi confided in a fellow church member that got her punished by having to dig ditches at midnight. And this leads us to the craziest part of Scientology, the Sea Org. It's a group of members that signed up for 1 billion years of service to the cult, doing all kinds of work for $1 an hour. When the Sea Org members violate what's expected of them, whether it's by having evil intentions or just being unproductive, they are put through the Rehabilitation Project Force, or RPF for short. It's a program to punish or set them on the right path that is often described as a gulag system with very difficult work. One of the stories I've read had someone locked in a bamboo cage as punishment. Well, Tom Cruise benefits from the work of both Sea Org and RPF members. Ex-members went into detail on how these individuals performed many tasks for him, including home renovations and constructing RVs and specialized limos. One Scientologist even had to find members to fill cook, maid, and nanny positions for him. Cruise's deep involvement with Scientology makes it reasonable to assume he's involved in even the shadiest parts. He definitely knows the worst things that go on in the cult and is fine with it, including the whereabouts of Shelley Miscavige, Scientology leader David Miscavige's wife, who hasn't been seen in public since 2007. And sadly, while Cruise might benefit from the slave labor, it's undeniable that the cult also gained significantly from him and his publicity. With a history of aggressive marketing towards celebrities, Scientology leverages their fame to attract new members. Even Cruise himself has been known to attempt recruiting other celebrities. But many non-famous members are tricked into joining a difficult-to-escape cult, especially by the favorable treatment given to celebrities compared to other members. So how we feel about Tom Cruise in the end is kind of weird. On one hand, he remains the most passionate actor, consistently delivering entertaining films. Yet on the other hand, he's kind of crazy. There's the idea of separating the art from the artist, which we have to do more and more these days, and that's fine. But it seems that often most people rather turn a blind eye to everything wrong with him. He's definitely a more than what meets the eye kind of actor, and it's really hard to pinpoint how we feel about it. So we want to hear from you. What do you think of Tom Cruise? Do you find it challenging to enjoy his movies because of his personal life? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you found this video informative, don't forget to leave a like, hit that subscribe button for more content, and consider visiting our Patreon for more exclusive material and fantastic perks. But until next time, have a good one.